So Minecraft is an easy game, so many players will try find other ways to have fun, whether that be multiplayer, servers and SMPs, or speedrunning, trying to get the fastest time possible. However, I have no speedrunning skills or friends, so I try a third option, challenges, where at least me from nearly 2 years ago, so ignore some of the questionable plays. And the challenge I decided to do was hardcore 1 slot. This includes no armor or offhand. With that all being said, let's get into it. And for the first run, I quickly collect some wood and set up a temporary base next to this crack. Also, ignore the invisible chests. I never end up fixing this. I then spend the rest of the day gathering basic resources such as food and iron. And then box myself in to skip the night. The next day I spot an outpost, grab a goat horn for some reason, gather some wood and oh look, it's nighttime again. Due to the nature of this challenge, a lot of time is wasted running back and forth, moving items. So yeah, I wasted a whole day on a goat horn. And the next day I mess around with some creepers, for some reason. And then nearly lose a 1v1 to a skeleton. Surely this isn't foreshadowing. I then finally decide it's time to pack everything up and leave to find a lava pool. While I may only have 1 slot, there are technically 2 other ways I can carry more items, those being chest boats and chest donkeys. I decided to use chest boats as they were far easier to obtain and also allowed me to stay safe in the ocean. After packing everything up and riding down this river for a bit, I find a village, and beside said village, a massive cave, which my ape brain could not resist, so I grabbed some wood and headed down. I then quickly realized why this was a terrible idea. However, at that point, it was way too late. Like, look at this skeleton man. And after reaching the end of the cave, I realized there's no way I'm getting back up without dying. Luckily for me, however, I bought some wood, allowing me to make a pickaxe and slowly begin my ascent. Yeah, this is an interesting bug of this challenge. Bruh. After a while, I dig up into this cave, where this happens. Oh no. You see, in my panic, I used every single block I had, perfectly sealing myself off in this cave, while still allowing the witch to come through. Like, I couldn't have messed this up harder if I tried. Luckily for me though, there was some gravel at the end allowing me to get some more blocks. I then baited the witch to attack, hit it so it started drinking a healing potion, and then made my escape. Now left with 1.5 hearts, I begin my ascent again. Until this happens. Surely this isn't foreshadowing anything. And the next few runs kinda went something like this, so we'll quickly move on to attempt 5. Due to some previous mishaps, I decided that staying on land was both a bit too risky and pointless. Considering I'm going to be storing everything in chest boats anyway, I might as well go straight to the ocean and use shipwrecks to find my iron. Which is exactly what I did here. I then quickly find 2 lava pools, allowing me to make a nether portal, not before accidentally burning half of my items while trying to move them closer. I never knew boats could light on fire, which led to me needing to grab more iron. After finally entering the nether, I spot a warped forest in the distance, so I start bridging towards it so I can get my ender pearls. However, while heading back to get more items, this happens. I am dead. You see, falling into lava puts you on fire for 15 seconds, and that does half a heart every second, so a total of 7.5 hearts. And I have... yeah. However, I do have some hope. My nether portal isn't too far from here. If I can make it through and get into some water, I can save this run. So that is exactly what I tried to do. Yeah, no, I wasn't even close. The next run I start off on a desert island, thankfully with a single lone tree, allowing me to get my boat. And with an outpost. This run was kinda stressful as well. I had no wood or food, meaning I'd have to be extra careful. Oh, I didn't even know about this run till I looked at my replay recordings. Like, all I wanted was some diamonds. Instead I got the entirety of bloody America on me. Okay, Just be careful not to fall. The next run I spawn next to the ocean, so I quickly make a chest boat and start looting shipwrecks to get iron. And then after a while of boating, I managed to find myself a lava pool, allowing me to enter the nether for the 3rd time. Upon entering the nether, I managed to find a nearby warped forest, and successfully managed to bridge over, without any incidents, and after a while I managed to grab all my ender pearls with very little difficulty. Sometimes it was faster for me to make a new wooden axe rather than get the old one. I also managed to pyrite for a nether fortress, so after a while of digging, and even longer searching, I managed to find a spawner. I started off playing the spawner safe, however after a while I got a bit bored, and this happens. The next run I get jump scared by an enderman. Yeah, no. Let me baby proof this real quick, cause I know I'm gonna fall off. Much better. In this run I was trying to set up a blaze killing chamber, but without realizing I let one in, and this happens. I get boxed in by a blaze. This run starts off well with me spawning near a village with a snowy mountain, allowing me to get my iron and some snowballs. Now why would I need snowballs? Well, you see, alongside the basics, there are a couple of additional things that can help me complete this run. Those being a swamp, so I can get slime balls to make a lead, and a snow biome for snowballs. This will help with taking down the pillars in the end, as obviously I can't use a bow. While helpful, these aren't exactly necessary. I then find a lava pool in a second village. And upon entering the nether, I quickly find a fortress nearby. And after faffing around for a bit, I managed to isolate a spawner and slowly but surely get my rods. Well, not before doing this. What am I doing here? And after a couple close encounters, I head back to the overworld. And then because I was already at a village, I decided to trade for ender pearls. And then while searching for the stronghold, I find a swamp, ticking off my second biome. And then, after collecting my slime balls and string, I made my leads with no problems whatsoever. But then it turns out the leads were basically useless because the stronghold is only 5 blocks away. And then upon entering the stronghold, I quickly find the portal room. And then I finally enter the end for the first time. Upon entering, the first thing I did was spread water everywhere. There were 2 reasons for this. One was to protect me from dragon launches. The second reason was in case I looked at an enderman. I can quickly run to the water and stay safe. I then used my snow to break all the crystals. This worked surprisingly well. The problems came when I actually had to hit the dragon. I had never speedrun the game previously, so I had no idea on how the dragon actually worked. And to this day, I have no idea what happened here. Like, how is this my fault? Look how far it is! You may have noticed me mining at a distance while in the nether. Well, this is why, to avoid things like this. This run started off pretty standard, but upon entering the nether, this quickly changed. You see, the nether fortress was quite far, and in order to stay safe, I built this huge sky bridge, which led to many ghasts spawning and trying to hit me off. The nether fortress was quite low down, so I had to boat down to this island here. This was not a good idea. I quickly boxed myself in. Fortunately for me, I did have the foresight to bring some items with me. And even more fortunately, I had managed to trade for a fire resistance pot earlier. 3 minutes wasn't long enough for me to get all my rods, so I decided to box in the blaze spawner in order to make a killing chamber instead. I then had to go for a bit and somehow forgot to pause my game. And this happens. I don't think this is what's meant by spawn killing. This was rather unfortunate. I first get jumped by a piglin and somehow pull this off. I then for some reason decide to be risky and try to do a mad dash to the portal. Remember how I said this was filmed in 2024? I swear I'm better now. This run was so depressing. I got all my rods, all my pearls, and even got a slime ball. Then I got hit to 1 heart, and then got too impatient, which led to this happening. Okay, so I normally play out every seed. This run was the only exception. I spawned in a desert with no trees nearby. Like, what am I meant to do? So I just... yeah. I am not taking the blame for this. The next run I get a perfect start. I spawn in a snow biome next to a village, allowing me to get my snow, iron, and string. Then after a little more exploring, I managed to gather enough obsidian and lava to make a nether portal. And upon entering the nether, I quickly spot a nearby fortress as well. The spawner was also buried, making it very easy to make a killing chamber. And after doing so, I managed to quickly get all my rods. And since I was already at a village, I decided to trade for my ender pearls. After getting all my pearls, I pack up and start heading towards the stronghold. And it turns out the stronghold is on this little island, meaning that's the second time I had gotten a lead and barely used it. I'm sorry, cats. After entering the stronghold and having a couple close encounters, I find the portal room. And shortly after, I fill up the portal and enter the end. And this time I wasn't taking any chances. I start off doing the exact same thing as last time, watering everything and snowballing the crystals. Here you see me trying to learn from my mistakes, then instantly getting hit by the dragon, and then doing the exact same thing I did last time, but for some reason this time it works. This is the first time I'm looking at this footage from over a year, and it's a miracle I even made it this far. Like, look at this. However, thankfully, after all this, I managed to kill the dragon with no problems at all. Now all I need to do to finish this run is enter the end fountain. Oh god, there's a few minutes left of the video. What happened here? I'll tell you what happened. My dumbass thought, oh, it'd be a cool idea to get a shot of me riding into the fountain in my boat. And this run I didn't have a lead, so I had to slowly, manually move all my items toward the fountain. This all works out fine. Until I realized I missed a few items. Some I needed in order to get the dragon egg. So I went back to grab them. And managed to beam 2 endermen from across the map. Thankfully, the water I spread everywhere came in clutch. But like, now what? I'm staring down 2 endermen with no weapon. I could try swinging at them, but that's very risky, as sometimes they can hit you back. However, while contemplating my life decisions, I realized if I jiggle around a bit in the water, the enderman will walk into it and take half a heart of damage. Now, endermen have 40 hearts, so this was going to take a while, but it was my best bet. And after way too long, I managed to kill them. Psych! I decided to try hit the last enderman and end up staring down another enderman, having to repeat the same cycle again. Then after all that, finally, I get the egg and leave the end. Yeah, I'm never doing this again.